Okay. Hello, welcome to HSC Pre-Algebra, Ratios, and Rates. So what exactly are ratios? Ratios are used to compare things. Pretend that we're baking. We need to add 2 times the amount of flour to sugar, and the ratio between sugar to flour is 2 to 1. And that colon is being used to represent that this is a ratio. So it's a comparison between two units. So say if I were to have to put 2 globs of paint for every 6 globs of blue paint, then you would get a 2 to 6 ratio for just globs of normal paint to globs of blue paint. Simplifying ratios. Like fractions, ratios can be simplified. If you have a ratio 6 to 2, then you can simplify it down to 3 to 1. In fact, when you are dealing with ratios, you can essentially just think of them as fractions. So in this case, if you were to want to compare two different ratios, say 6 to 2 and then 7 to 1, then you know that 7 to 1 is a greater ratio than 6 to 2, because 6 to 2 is essentially 3 and 7 to 1 is basically 7. So then you know that the 7 to 1 ratio is a much larger difference. Rates are very similar to ratios, and one common example of a rate you'll see is miles per hour. So if you're riding a car that's going at 35 miles per hour, then its rate is 35 miles per hour. And it doesn't have to be for distance. Like, sure, you can have meters per second and even feet per second, which generally isn't used that much, but you could use it. You can also have like a salary. Say you're paid $5 per hour, and you could also have it in foods like 100 calories per slice of bread. Those are all examples of rates. So say that we have a problem. An employee is working for a company and earns $32 per 2 hours. How much does the employee make per hour? Or in 5 hours? Well, not or, and. I'll give you a moment to try thinking about this. Alright, let's go to the whiteboard and try solving. Let's take a look at this problem. We know that the keywords here are going to be, in a moment, $32 per 2 hours. We want to find out how much money does the employee make per hour and in 5 hours. So because we know that it's $32 in per 2 hours, then we can assume that because it's 2 hours, if we half this amount by 2, then we can figure out how much money the employee makes in 1 hour. So 32 divided by 2, let's see, this becomes 1 and 6. So we know that the employee makes $16 per hour. And because we know the employee makes $16 per hour, we can assume that in 5 hours it's going to be 5 times 16. And so 16 times 5 is going to be, let's see, 30 plus 5, so 80. So the employee makes $80 in 5 hours. Ta-da! Let's look at another problem. Alright, let's take a look at this problem. 12 chocolates have 864 calories in them. If Sasha wants to know how many calories are in 5 chocolates, what do you tell her? Well, I'm going to give you a moment to try and figure this out. Alright, so the key words here are 12 chocolates are worth 864 calories, and we want to know how many are in 5 chocolates. First, because 12 is not a direct factor of 5, we unfortunately have to divide 864 by 12 to figure out how many calories are in a single chocolate, and then multiply that by 5 in order to figure out how many are in 5 chocolates. Here we can find that 864 divided by 12 is actually 72, and then multiply that by 5, and then you are left with 360 calories. So there are 360 calories in 5 chocolates. Let's look at this third problem. For every 11 miles driven, half a gallon of gasoline is used. If someone wants to drive 440 miles, how many gallons of gasoline will be used? I'll give you a moment to try and work this out on your own. Alright, for one, we have certain keywords like 11 miles driven, half a gallon of gasoline. So if someone wants to drive 440 miles, how many gallons of gasoline? Now remember that this isn't half a gallon of gasoline. So per 1 gallon of gasoline, we have to double the amount. So 11 times 2 is equal to 22 miles. Now if we have 440 divided by 22, we are left with 20. So we know that 20 gallons will be used. And that was all for today's video. Thank you.